Hello, here is Abdullah Zaghloul, and today's discussion is repository pattern across the most common ORMs. As we discussed, the repository is a data layer, not only database layer, but also retrieved from different sources of data like caching, API, env, and file. So we took this example. We have a setting, and this record contain ID or key, OTP, and the value mail. The same for the second record here, authentication, and the value is phone here. So if we talk about this and using repository pattern, and we have two type of ORMs. So ORMs retrieve the data from database. So if we have data mapper, so data mapper examples like Prisma and the TypeORM, it just return the record as a plain object from database, meaning this object doesn't carry any other database logic. So for example, once I get the setting here, find it, I cannot say setting update because the database logic is not here. So of course you need to implement a specific class, dedicated class for repository to retrieve the data and edit it and change the pagination logic, change the shape of data, hide something, get something, set something here. But if we are working with active record pattern ORMs, which is a feature-rich one like Laravel ORM and Lucid ORM. So once you retrieve the setting, you are retrieving a model instance, not only a plain object. So you can do update and all the database logic because it carries the database logic here. So if you need to implement a repository pattern, you have the database logic, so you can merge to it the cache and the API without creating an extra layer of complication like this, which is a most common approach today. So you need to create a method interface for repositories and bind it to service layer. All this is complication because if we check our code here, we try to find by ID, which is find it here with the same parameters and the same for get all. So you can use composition at PHP using a trait. So you can separate your cache layer at a separate trait, and the same for API, env, and file. And you just use this trait. This is called composition, not inheritance. And you can drop it. So once you have the model, you will have all the logic of repository and you can utilize it not just a database source, but also a full repository. And I will give you the example across three main framework: Nuxt, which is Nitro based at the backend, and Laravel and Nest.js. So let's go with Prisma here, and I have this endpoint called settings. So it will return called the service layer. So the service layer will get the repo here, and if it doesn't found the setting, you can do your exception business logic here. So let's go for the setting repo here. I want to retrieve it from, I will implement a wrapper method called getAll. And you can use it without this wrapper, and you can use with wrapper. For example, I may say from env, from API, from database directly here. This will make you change just the method name inside the service. But if you plan to never change anything in the service, you just go for get all and call the needed method here. So I want to retrieve the setting from cache, so I will run my project here. So now we can check our API here using Nuxt dev tool. I want to check API slash setting. It returns the needed data here. The key is OTP and value mail, the same for authentication and phone. So it returns it from what? From cache. So as you can see here, fetching from config, this is the first time using the cache because inside this cache one, as we can see here, this method, it returned it from the config, which is from the environment variable, then it cached it. So the first time will be from the config, but if we retry again here, so of course it will get from cache. And if we retry again, it still get it from the cache. So let's change our logic without affecting all of service. So I want to go here, say from caching from config here directly, it will say the following. It retrieved from config here, and the same if we change from API. So we have another endpoint try to fetch it from another endpoint here, returning OTP and value. It will be internal or external one, not a big deal right now, just for the example. And if we check our console here, it said retrieved from API. And let's go from another database source, which is database itself here. So I want to say from DB here. Yeah, we'll make it from DB. And once we check, it gets the data from database source as we need it. So you can change all the logic without affecting your service. This is at the data mapper one. Let's go for the Laravel Eloquent instead of this Prisma data mapper one. Using Laravel is very easy. Let's track slash API slash setting. So this endpoint will go to setting service list method, and the service here calls a model as a repository because at Laravel our model carry our database logic. So we can merge any other functionality like getting from env, from cache, from API as a trait using composition. This is the simplest way without any boilerplate, without any complication. So let's go from API. This one we can couple and decouple it easily. And now we have from API logic and from env, for example, here. Let's go for it. So I get the environment variable of setting, this one, as you can see here. I want to open it. Now it will return the setting. Then I will do hydrate for this JSON. So let's go and try our endpoint right now. So this is slash API slash setting. It works fine as we need here. It is OTP and mail and authentication. And let's go from changing from cache to from API. The same logic will be founded here. And if we change it to from ANV or from config, yeah, from cache also, all this one is working fine here. So I want to return the same result here. Let's check our Nest.js TypeORM decorator-based approach. This is our setting controller and routing to slash get here. So it calls the setting service got all, and this one calls the setting repository get all. And the setting repository is using the entity of type ORM now, and it uses dependency injection of Nest.js. So the config service and the HTTP service is ready, and the cache manager is ready. So it will be used for the needed method here. So this method is good all. So it retrieves the setting from cache. So if I do a refresh here, it returns it from cache. So let's go for this approach. This one is using the cache manager. Okay, let's go from ANV. It will still work. So our logic is still fine. It will do a reload here. Yeah, it is work. And it says that get from config, as we said here. It will get from config using the config service and parsing the JSON. The same from DB, the same for the others using the HTTP call here from DB. Yeah, it works. It was just restarting. Now it works. Let's go from API. The same result will be found. So you should do as we said right now.